umaju with segment of it.
Rick Badun did.
That's another malation.
Yeah.
Damage in the one and shoot and consider you in any songs. Send it that you is smart.
Obviously younger.
She's not Dami, Taranshubans, Dami, Kazan Dami, the show Dami Nishero. Dami said, Dami said, the Kabdik and the Damidi. Dad, Ramon Chua, Dembotu Damio, Tilla Dami. Tilla in a year knee, Chuk Dami, the Kazan Dami.
Yes.
He's on call it to achieve top call it to achieve it. Menandi, Call it to achieve Koeza Bangura, Koeza Bang and Lamdi, and Damido Lamdi is. Damid into one and two G's, Chudan Kaza even Namison Sintra.
Okay.
What is on?
So as it is said in Sutra, there are two types of non-self, the non-self of persons and the non-self of phenomena. As we went through this morning looking at the non-self of persons, that would mean the self found to be not existent from its own side or lacking inherent existence, and those who wish to leave the cyclic existence behind, one should know that the method or the root of that, the path for that, is understanding those two types of non-self, the non-self of persons and non-self of phenomena. Firstly, the non-self of persons.
Shazanda, Kazang Dami, Tiadi, and the Tangita, Kazang Dami, Gomdang, Mombaji Dosara.
Yeah.
Tadi Chediuni, Chuna, Kazang Dami, the Samno Mango, Tang, and Jumze, Rigba, that Dende Rigba, Namdun Rigba, Chamema River Rigba, that and Rigba Jumze, Tamada Susan, Suzilla. Today, Kazan Dami Towe. Tawas Newina, and today, Chamadi, that Cheva Manyamba, Chamadi Nuva Manyamba. You know, she's church in Dalia or the Dembatuva Yina Menam, some logo chopazamji, and a church change. Tingia, and it don't buy to your race or the Shivio.
So, having gone through those stages and steps that realize then the lack of intrinsic nature of the person, the lack of self of the person being truly existent by the mode of reasoning of dependent designation and the sevenfold method we went through and valid cognition, one realizes the lack of the self of persons. And if you sustain such a way of reasoning or valid cognition, if it doesn't degenerate, one can then apply it to other phenomena other than persons.
Or the today in this angle, the Kazang Dami said, Taranshi Simbashero, Tineda, Digi, Kansangi, any Dashi, Pungo, Pumunga, Kana Dineta was the Pumunga, Su Pungo, Tsopungo, Dijipungo, that was a Ranshin you do it on that was.
So, having gone through the analysis of person and seeing that it lacks true or inherent existence, one then examines the basis of the person, the aggregates, form, feelings, discriminations, and so forth, and comes to find their lack of intrinsic nature as well.
수동보 동반이 수소 스디네 르라지 드베 동바 코라 수동고 한다디 수당 수그라지 드베 동바 동반이 디니 모지라 도바타데 시기요레스로
And as we hear in the Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, form is not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than form. That fourfold reasoning, not taking out our forms, but just taking one's body and concluding that its very nature is void, it is empty of intrinsic existence, but also the emptiness of that body, lacking intrinsic nature, is its very entity. So here we have form and emptiness. We have the two isolates of the one truth, or the two isolates of the one reality.
아니 수동보 동반이 레장 수시마이노 스르와 수동보 시엔데 수중고 어디 데마드베 동반이 수소 소도 수 데마드베 동바코나 수고 동반이 레장 수시마이 수 데마드베 동뱅고 텔레 짱 아니 수중고 신요 말레스로 동반이 레장 수시마이노 슬라빈데 네 수란 신기 드베 동뱅고 텔레 짱 동반이 중고 신요 말레스로 어디 시행거라다.
So, having gone through the first conclusion that form lacks intrinsic nature, it's empty, and the very nature of that form is emptiness, then we would come to see that other than being empty, there is no other characteristic of that form. It is in fact empty.
다 수를 하고 어디나시 아니 디네마 소화다 뒤시다 남시 풍부시지 맞아 그래서라.
And once one has thoroughly examined form by that fourfold analysis, one applies the same reasoning to feelings, discriminations, consciousness, and so forth.
제자다 먼저 딜라야 삼단단 디야고요 가서 그래. 뒤중 먼저 우중 공제기와
Yeah.
우중 공제 안되네. 다들 렐하고요 말에 당고 먼저 심신이 이제 하고요. 네 우중 공제도 네 간단지라. 곰나 주름고 잡나 수술해야지. 디 남도도 좀 외송이지. 남도 망고지 연애 여더라.
Yeah.
남도도 남도 다문데 제버디게 나가서 심세리기 차대 하고 거요 뭐 딥지 되지로.
Yeah.
알레 동반이지다 알레 파스샤시더라 왕에. 먼저 셈 그러나 가르카리 신기요 말 먼저로. 데인데네 지 우중 공부를 되네 다 파바바자 남도 그 주미지 남도 이제 파바바 가르드네. 되네네 가서 그래. 심 남도 파가베 가져들라네 세리기 차 다음에 차지 내게 요래 딘데들라 아니 셈 생겨 셈 딘데 세리기 차데 아니 라스텔라네제 텔레야다 남산데 동니 마공바체데 텔레야 내저 두제로와데 까마 당보도 와도 세긴 가지 되네 까마치 까마니 까마숨 다 까마니 숨든데 내자 여고 정나 안에 신도다 되네 셈세리기 차데 안에 랑원의 투와 인데메 따지시네 티 랑원의 투와 또 까위나 다 sing with the Tomani is at Chug Dame. So come down magic digana, some tango resra. That day into you. Tatanda didn't deal with a dog in battery. Kandi Chagjan sur Kandi Chagjan than deal with any Yamnishidan in battery rest.
Gishna. That's fine. So then we reflect on the breathing exercise, coming to the conclusion of emptiness in this respect is not easy, but what we're doing is analyzing mind eventually. So what we do is we take as our method the breathing exercise, and what you will come to see over a long period of time is that when you breathe and you're aware of mind, a lot of discursive thoughts come up. And normally we're so involved with these discursive thoughts, they obscure us from the true nature of mind. And the true nature of mind is clear and experiencing, or clear and knowing. So leave aside emptiness for the moment. Just recognizing mind's true nature would be the first step. And then through continually meditating, using that breathing exercise, we get to a stage where the discursive thoughts stop, the mental constructs cease, and what manifests is mind's clear and lucid nature, clear knowing. You place the mind, or single-pointedly place the mind on its true nature of lucidity and experience. First, you can only do it for 1 or 2 seconds, but gradually you can extend that concentration. Having placed, or single-pointedly placed the mind on its nature, then you begin to examine, is that clear and knowing mind truly existent or not? And one comes to conclude even that mind lacks true existence. So really, here you've taken mind as your reference object and you've found it to lack intrinsic nature. This is the lack of true existence of phenomena. And this is alluded to in Mahamudra, where you use mind as your reference object, referential object.
Oh, the Dangi, 60 medu, the Mawadita.
Hello.
Damage the magic 60 new dinema. What the damage in the Namji, Chudan Kansai, Namisons, Volma. And Teda Dembe Lion, the Dani, Dujana Chili Namas. Chudan Chive, Tombani, Chirushin, the Lion Jeta, Tijan in a Shiva store. Volma. Damage in the one and damage your share, the Tony Juruk Shevroda, may ward it.
Yeah.
I your share in the Chudan Kansa.
I got it. Yeah.
Damage in the one and Jesus.
Yeah. Ras.
Or the name.
Right, so now we are on 6.179. If you can find that. That selflessness in order to liberate, it's the bottom 2 verses of that page. That selflessness in order to liberate migrating beings was taught to be of 2 types by way of divisions of persons and phenomena. Thus, the teacher once again taught trainees that self is divided in many ways. Di jela tongni chuchuk. And then lastly it goes on to explain the 16 types of emptiness. So there are 16 for 20 and so forth.
다 데레 돈이 주로 돈이 뉴시오 망고셔야 돼. 배나 치동반이 나도 동반이 지난 동반이 전부 동반이 배나 치동반이 있어도 치고 치취 담제 템버드 동바디 디제 나 동반이 있어도 나 심게 된 동반이 있어. 당연히 아주 심게 된 동반이 셔다.
Shayamba.
제 나게 동반이 치동반이 있어도 포바당 매도당
Right.
강바다 되주된 그 동반이들 치동반이 있어.
Right.
동시권에다 쳐래 동반이라 좋아요 말에 동시권에 여치고요. 그래서
Okay, basis, yeah. So these various divisions then of emptiness, 16, 20, and so forth, are, for example, emptiness of outer phenomena, emptiness of inner, emptiness of both, for example. So when you have emptiness of outer things, one is examining cups and flowers and things, these outer things, and seeing their lack of intrinsic nature. And emptiness of inner is what we just did, where you take mind as the reference object and see its lack of intrinsic nature. So it is not from the point of view of things themselves that lack inherent existence, the basis. You just have different bases, but the emptiness is the same.
다디 월을 찍디만 인도나 간지디 란시니 베나 나게 동반이 셰운디 난 동반이 셰운디 간지디 란시니 인지 미니 미기 동서도 항저 미기 여러
Yeah.
미기 미기 동서 미기 미 란시니 되베 동서 미미 코랑 동서에 말아 되도나 미기 미 란시니 되베 동버레스 대신데 아니 나와다 나다 제다 류다 이장 아니 셰버레스 다디 먼저 미다 나와다 나다 제다 유도조게 땡기 동만이들 나동님이 샤워서는데 낭세야돼 담봉 먼저 낭당 치세야돼 낭세야돼 낭 심주지 새벽에 새벽 심배 안에 쳐들라 낭 새벽 마심배 쳐들라 치스페나 먼저 탭당 포워드서 새벽 생겨요 말이라 그래서나 심바세야돼 퇴원가래라 윤데 아니 탭디 미라 잡샤위나 아주 심라 소와데도 카도 게도고요 말이야. 당저 미gle 텔라쇼바나 람상도 소와데도 게인 거래. 나고나라 직진 람상 르레야 직진. 디게레 인자고 람상 소와 셰발라 디고 차와도도 뭐서 장투고 여바 인자 안델레야 낭기 쳐시 미다 나와다 나다 제다 르다 디게라 낭라고 해야 돼. 대다 란신유도 동바디.
Right, so first looking at these inner things, so where it says at the top of the next page, because its nature is that, the eye is empty of eye, this should also be similarly addressed to ear, nose, tongue, body, and mentality. So when we talk about this twofold division of inner and outer, the inners are those things that are joined with mind, with the perceptive faculty. So because its nature is that eye is empty of eye, we're not saying the eye is empty, but we're saying the eye is empty of being intrinsically true, intrinsically real, in the sense that it's inner in the sense that it's joined with mind. So all the other faculties, ear, nose, and so forth, are likewise. For example, with books and cups, if you shoot a bullet through a book, the book doesn't feel, but if one were to harm one's eye or nose, because of the perceptive faculty joined with consciousness, one would feel that sensation. So those with the conjoined with that faculty of perception are called inner in that regard. So applying the eye to those other sense faculties.
다디올라 치동마 셰윤디 간지디 란신이 인지 수니 수구동 숙다디로 렉자추 이게 상마 아니 디게 냐레스 최남진진 티시노스 수소란 시메바니 치료동반이 되어 송다 아도다 숙다디로 렉자 도서 숙다디로 렉자 최다 최스디다 미다과당 도저와 도저 상마 아니 라지지르 동바디 아니 치료 동바래지 치동바 나 동바데 치동바 세들와
because then next verse but one down, because their nature is that forms are empty of forms. Also sounds, odors, tastes, tangible objects, and phenomena are like that. The chigi, suk tra chi ro reksha dirwa denzo, chigi yul denzo. Yeah, so all of the external objects of those sense faculties, such as forms for the eyes, sounds for the ears, odors for the nose, tastes for the, tongue and so forth, and the tangible, they lack inherent existence. All of those phenomena are just like that.
디나라 니자란시 메바데 친한 동반이들 치다나 닝게 동반 니자란시 메바스 다 치다나 닝게게 최잉이데 가르샤고 그래서는 옹보샤 왕된 코바트와 미고 옹보 나와 무지고 류 옹보디게들라 아니 친한 닝게 최였어요 치치라고 해서 가서는 고 소그레스로 난게 최라고 해서는 고 아니 셰베 심벌에서와 제가 옹보디 친한 닝게 최였어 근데 옹보란 신이도야 동보디
Going on to explain the emptiness of inner and outer together, which is exemplified by the sense faculties, or let's say the sense houses, those which house the various senses, because on an outer sense you have form, but they're inner because they're also conjoined with consciousness. So therefore, inner and outer also lack intrinsic nature.
다 디네 디가라야 동반이 세죠. 다 디데 그래서 카가야 신다도 되다 유 전부 동반 좀 뒤제 동반 뒤면서 동반이 세다 그래서 그 제시된 것을 해라고. 단단하게 카가라고 뒤에 말랍샤래. 차단 랍답고 말아라. 차단 동반이 세다 가라라고서는 다 단한 건저 동반 내 당보 동이 동마가 떠오는데 동이 든지지 떠오는 거라. 동이 든지지 떠오는데 된대게 동이 또 똑바들라. 동이 나요는데 야 동이 dembato 나요 거야. 그렇죠? 그 똑바선자 딘지 레지. 된대게 동이 또왜 똑바 몰라 동이 나왜 동이 dembato 나고 거라. 야라 신이 되어 동바. 제 삼리 동이 dembato 나고 거라 아니 dembato 동아래스는 동이 있어야 돼.
Okay. So next we have what is called the emptiness of emptiness. So the aforementioned outer phenomena and inner phenomena are a little bit easy to examine in terms of their basis of lacking intrinsic nature. But when we get to emptiness of emptiness, it would be that when you first settle on an understanding of emptiness, you are doing it by means of a generic image, an intellectual understanding of that lack of intrinsic nature, and the appearance initially is still together with clinging to true existence. So even that clinging to true existence subjectively lacks inherent nature. So that would be the emptiness of emptiness.
단다 다른 조명 가서 간상 담에 또 보다 이제 저 그다음에 간대직 또 보이나다 삼로 당연히 다 단다당 나 저런는 게 하면 거라네 단다 또요 말아라 아니 또 매빈자 다 직동이 삼로지 땅도 삼당연히 땅서 강에서 그래 동에서 그래 창마 아니 델라디네 단질라디네 중샤스 아니 레직 라스스라트인데 아제다 먼저 예용게 심진 파마 빈자 튼도도 참마 데네단 데 메시버 온게 아니 동인양고요래 삼제 아니 양자 돈이기 콜til레베젤 양자야 닝지고미야 아니 닝지글레운데 아니 동에들레 태워 다가 차기 동에레 태워 치야 누가민도 대시 등에 저거 산지 공부니 터와 치기 실리 양자 전주성 고미야 어다 돈이 상어 당자 차베 제수 닝지 공단다 전주성 공단 좀 봐. 어떤 데서 예스로.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I have not yet realized emptiness. The twofold emptiness of persons and phenomena. Well, one should reflect on it a lot. And when suffering comes, when difficulties come up, one can conclude that they are a result of self-grasping. And when you see people to your left and right, parents, relatives, friends, going through that, concluding that they are experiencing their problems as a result of that obscuring ignorance that doesn't see reality, they are benighted in that sense, then that should spur you on to experientially realize emptiness, but also one then cultivates compassion, seeing that other beings don't see reality. So therefore, not only are you compassionate for what they're going through, but the thought, I will do it. I will cultivate it. So then again, you can see how, first you reflect on emptiness, and then you have compassion, and that strengthens your need to reflect on emptiness again.
다 chanjuk gyul je sabe jela doni ji yong yore chanjuk je sabe jela doni khande to gor labdi sanje ji gomba nyu to wa chigo sanje gomba to wala kho bang ora kho bang la kho zaw bang la timu de maru bang la ne doni to go du sia chik jumzen ji wa de ne semje thamje chi dungele thewa chigi sen dungege de tang az dungege 동해 손예게 짜와 쪼de 수레라디 말한저 기승내 검자인 봐 수수게 지 차당당 스트레스 당 하제당 저도 창마 저도 가서 또 중화하고도 알아 근데 나랑게 나제 채타는 중송 대다 지 타도 시타는 대양 되자 숙집에 온게 강에 된데 중송 대 잡려야도네 자와디 미신 몽베 마리벌드네 중화디 디 신기요 말 당한서 산다 춘에 삼고나 당겨요 말들 그러 텔라야 도고요 말이다 가시에다 되자 시단래 도고요 말이 근데 가시다 되자 시단을 도에네 디 잡라 마리벌드네 중화들 삼무춘 당겨요 말 제자네 다 마리벌들 되네 동해 창마 되네 차단을 연구도 마리벌드네 차단을 지네 레사 레옹게 동해 연구도 다 대자 예, 아니 마리보드 빵고도 삼 도스 전juk 샘 귤기 사네 덴데스 리그요로 하다로
Okay. So then, having generated that bodhicitta, one would enter into the Mahayana path of accumulation, become on that first level. There are practitioners who get an understanding of emptiness initially and then generate bodhicitta. They are the sharp faculty practitioners. But looking at the other mode, those who generate bodhicitta first and then realize emptiness, because they see, having realized bodhicitta, the necessity of quickly becoming Buddha. In order to quickly become Buddha, one has to abandon the root of the cyclic existence, which one has recognized as the ignorance that grasps at true existence. That's the first reason. The second reason is that really, out of compassion, one sees the suffering sentient beings and wishes to remove what they're going through, which is the root. It is, isn't it? Because we have desirous attachment, we have stress, anxiety, pride, jealousy. There are times when you realize, I went a bit overboard with the jealousy or desire. And then to recognize that really the root of all those invalid, disturbing thought obscurations is ignorance. We don't even know that. Some people don't even know that underlying all of their negative emotions is this ignorance. And yet some can't even recognize the emotion before even the ignorance. So one has to recognize that the root of those disturbing thought obscurations is ignorance. And out of that state of ignorance, desires, attachment, and aversion come. Then you create karma and you suffer. So seeing that sentient beings are ignorant of that, then you think to remove the root of the suffering, which is ignorance.
다디네 돈이래야 소람내걸라 돈이라 터바 삼바 곰중 퇴상 군순지 싫어지면라 티진 소람 중은 딩 첨보스 라그여레스 단당한저디 싫어진구나 데이터 가디가디 세질로도 가디가디 세 데이터 손시 아 바르드 손세 아니 소람라다 소람곰 조람고스 가디가디 니라야디 아니 소람다 조람 시기를 단다갑디 소람치 조람디 아니 소람 첨변에 가서 돈이를 금중으로 터바다 아니 조람래야 터 아니 조람내가 트여져 뭐서 쳐졌지 이디다 람 단다디 싫어님분한 동아 된되게 어디 가데가데 써야지 니와디
니빠디르와
니와디 조람나고 당보도 소람나고 그랬어
and having entered that initial path of the Mahayana path of accumulation, one will here reflect and meditate on emptiness, or begin to, and there are small, medium, and great levels of that. Basically, that procedure is set out in the Heart Sutra, where we hear the mantra, go, go thoroughly beyond Tayata, Gati, Paragati, Parasamgathi. So with regards to those first notions of going, Gati, the first one is the path of accumulation. In the second one, when one has reached a more of a reflective understanding of emptiness, that's the second Gati, the path of training.
다디네 돈이 무슨데 또 보나 돈람 바라가디 세데르와 돈람라 내가다 돈람지 내가 스 돈이 무슨 돈인데 아니 단당한서 줘봐 딘지가 줘봐 갈랑가서 시살다 내가로
야
시제 아니 디네가라베 가서 그래 돈람 배는 장심 돈람라고 이나 기생지 라인바 아 디네가라 되자 셰당 콘동아제 타도 세드제데 춘여만 텐데파샤네 콜 조펜 레서드 사기요만다 아니 디주지 대화디 상매기 대화 서 대화 상매기 대화 바시그레다 와 대화 요바디 상매기 대화 바시그레 근데 딘데지 요딜라 딘데게네 돈용무슨도 왜 람디 아니 통람스 돈용무슨도 사도 통 근데 내가디 먼저 단다 남바산제에 군조 섬리난지 최군조 써야 돼. 제가 최군조디 겸거 인세 고대원에 어디래다. 겸거 가르쳐서는 아니 레사도 사고요 말에 녀모 전이 제서라고요 말에 가도이나 배다 시와 대와 바시그레메시지게 이게요 말다. 개가나지요 말에 동해요 말에네. 다 근데지 유연하다 한정원에 배전 최고서를 삼다르시 됐다. 이제 시에나 야고요. 남바산제에 군조 섬스데 단다 이슈다 딘데시베 군조지 여러 딘데 말에 남바산제에 시 군조 섬데 마음방 알아줘야 유라 똑과 제 여와 시기요스. 여와지 마음바 수수 깔래 잡나 수수 줄래 용기 여와지 시기요스로.
Then the Paragati, the third path of seeing, we mentioned it yesterday. When the practitioner directly sees the truth, Paragati, it is called the path of seeing. And at this stage, all elaborations of true existence are pacified. we mentioned yesterday about the qualities of this practitioner, the first Bhumi Bodhisattva, that there is no longer desires, attachment, aversion, jealousy, pride, such gross afflictions that can fling further karmic consequences. They have ceased. Not only that, the bliss they experience is of a non-contaminated type of bliss. And it is called the path of seeing because they see the truth anew. They see, directly. And it's important to know, when we talk about the three jewels, three rare sublime ones, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, this is the second of those three jewels, the Dharma Jewel. And it is the real jewel in the sense that it is affording us protection from karma and suffering and birth, aging, sickness and death. The second Dharma Jewel of the Dharma is actually comes with our effort in accomplishing cessation in our own mind. Now, that's important because in the context of the three sublime jewels, you might think it's out there like a created God. Certainly not. It is something that you will accomplish in your own mind, that peace, insight, and cessation.
어딘데기 안에 똑바 토바 치와라 부다 부모 예와요 말이야 수수갈래지나 대지 토고요래 안에 신윤지나 신윤지면 축부당 교워서 예와요 말이야 이연지 제요 말이야 도미지 도와지 인친제라 도와 미샤네 안에 튼두인제네 디 곰도비아당 똑바티야기 누바디 상말라 단양그 톱단 단양 여름이시지 딜라 예와 연지 제요 말이스와 다디 할레브레도 알아
알레기슬 강섭 코란기 셈낭레 야와 지금 말아 시르베
수수 곰나 톱고요
알레 톱수 yeah okay
수수 톱지요
yeah
톱자티
yeah so that attainment is not dependent on whether one is female or male. It depends on the effort. It doesn't matter if the person is rich or poor, person or kasa tundro. Yeah, even the animals have the potential to obtain that view. Yeah, so really when you think about it from within Buddha Dharma, equanimity is there. Right. Yeah.
Oh, did Lamdente doing was the well on the check. Cogdensa doing was the well the dog gate and your mother Tawash Togurva. Tawadi, chick pants and a punchy remission, 2 young jet in the Yomarabo. Chetan what the Cogdensa, and that the Dembashina, Lamdenda Cogdensa, the Sansam Dele Yoresro.
Right. So then, in terms of that path of seeing, it is called a true cessation, where the seeds, the afflictions, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So here, what's been abandoned at the true cessation are the intellectual, the intellectual level of clinging to true existence, and their seeds has been abandoned. So yesterday we mentioned the Four Noble Truths. So true paths is the method to cultivate that, but true cessation is the state wherein the mind is completely separate from affliction. Afflictions have ceased. And here, because the afflictions have gone, they can't come back.
재산디 먼저 방제반단디 치티 생고래다 대신베이나
Yeah.
다 낭베게 최 결혼서 망버지 뿌다고지 시긴스보다 뿌다고체나 어디 랑게 림바디지 komna 네 뿌다고지 차도요 레스로.
Yeah. So it's very important that we know that process of abandonment, because you might talk about practicing Buddha Dharma in a quality manner, then you have to know the path by which you abandon and what you abandon.
다 된대게 고된 남된 줄레된베 간산들라 팍베 간산 팍바스데 만나서 수교벌에 쳐와데 팍바스 안단다 군조 승나네 군조 사데 오다
Sumpadira.
어디리고 다
Right, now the person who has that true cessation of afflictions in his or her mind is an Arya being or a superior being, and that is the third of our three jewels called Sangha.
제단디
Arya Sangha, sorry.
딩어란조 다 최주베 다도 문에 차고요 가르잖아 최고의 남된체로 남된 고된디 최군조 체로 남산지베 근데 최다 남된다데 귤을 껴 채워라 아니 딘데게 박배 간산도 좀 먼저 다 개개인 체 때문에나 아니 그런저 귤라 다디 독버팅이 상의 요 인상 아니 남데 수수 냠뇽다데네 진짜말로 거지 송용거로 제가 안디 인디네 수수 냠네 수수이나 최 남다 귤리게야게 다 초보 용원조 단다 게시세도 게시세야디 디게겐 그 말에 계획에 초보친이서
Yeah, virtuous friend.
게시세야디 같이 게겐을 거고도 게겐 말이데 게겐을 하가 개와라 로바친이 이제 초보서 거래와 신예서도 시장 자시서 개외 신선 자시서 거래 개와라 초보친이 로바친이 초보서 거다 게시세야 된다 데려 오늘에는
Okay. So, yeah, really, the Sangha, that third Dharma Jewel, the ones who have directly seen the truth, are the real friends, aren't they? Because what they have actualized in terms of the second Dharma Jewel, by means of the method of true path, the true cessations of afflictions in their mind, they have got those insights. Having gotten those insights through experience, they are qualified or suitable to teach us because they can show us in a non-mistaken manner how to do the same. So one has to do that in one's own mind. So when we hear something like Geshe, some people think Geshe means teacher. It doesn't really. It means like virtuous friend or someone who is able to support your virtues or is close to virtue. That's what it means.
세상다 parasamgathi 세야들와 parasamgathi 토남체로 parasam 다야다 가데가데 parasamgathi 세야데 공람 세야데 가서나다 돈잉고선 더베질라 양자라 다 녀가서 녀모 현지에 사회한테 반줄 하더라 군다데 토남내가 반로요라 달 현지에게 아니 사회한테 저 반줄 하되 위인자 아니 대방 카가요래 대방와라 아니 사주스와 사주 이와 책도 되죠. 아니 사주디 나라야 아니 짐 파진 레레레레레 냠레 믹스에 책이요. 제가 사당볼라 짐베 파진 냠레 칠라고 책이요. 사니월라 수딩이 파진 냠도 세제 사레레레레야 아니 파진 레레레 냠레 칠하고 냠용 병고요. 근데 제발라 때네 아니 군대 파진면은 군기 타마세데 당당한 파진티베 상제다를 뭐 셔라 아니 샘젠기 샘기 균 타마 사주와들라 아니 내기 깨정이와네 아니 녀모보다 시제 디바드죠 봉동이게 운예들라 아니 군대 파자면 남체 되게 당배 남들라 아니 상계해야 되다 상계해야 되고 상계 육구해야 돼 디네 토부였다
So this next path then, Parasamgathi, the path of meditation, here, having gotten an insight directly to the truth or emptiness, one further meditates on it. Initially, in the path of seeing, what was abandoned were the intellectually acquired clingings to true existence, but yet still innate tendencies to cling to true existence remain. They have to be abandoned, and they are done so sequentially on the 10 bhumis, the 10 grounds. And each of those grounds, 10 bhumis, deals with a specific perfection or paramita, beginning with generosity and the experiences that go with those perfections, and then right up until the 10th ground, when you must when you have an uninterrupted, you must cultivate an uninterrupted final path that is the last moment in the continuum of a sentient being. So gross afflictions have been abandoned, but here you're getting rid of the subtle stains that are left over, the obscurations to omniscience. So first you enter into an uninterrupted path, you then obtain a liberated path as the last moment of a sentient being, and you get up, and then you have the body of a Buddha.
Dilaya body soha sigda tatiri.
Yeah, so that's at the end of that mantra. We have body soha. Dust gone, is it? So it's like that. Yeah, gone. Thoroughly gone beyond.
That dila ni sanje ji kudila. Sangye, that sangye said that couldn't leg to a sangye sang to the Yomumba the Shiji Divatunja pa sang. Yes, it did that you and then Lord Tamje ya jedin yo, Tadu digi, then to be digi, Tadu digi, you are maybe digi, Tobdin yo. Dila and sangye, what the love you.
And then that word Buddha or Sangye is 2 syllables. The first one, Sang, is talking about the removal of the 2 level of obscurations, gross and subtle, or afflictions and stains. And then lastly, on the accomplishment side, all good qualities of bliss, of final bliss, meaning temporal and ultimate well-being, is accomplished. So those 2, one on the abandonment side and one on the accomplishment side.
That's Sanjay you could la good sheer, Chugulungu to Moni Gusirwa. That Chugula de Sanjay Juji Shabajero, dear Chugus, the Sanjay Nampinzu, which is singing your Marero.
Now, the Buddha has 4 bodies, 2 mental bodies and 2 form bodies. From the first fold division of Buddha's mental body or mind, we're talking about Buddha's mental consciousness, and only another Buddha can see that. Yeah, and then the empty nature of that Buddha's mind, wherein all afflictions, seeds, and latencies have been thoroughly abandoned, is a state of cessation. So, true nature body.
Chansin Tolam stops Nana, and he gave Lungu Chusung Yorda. Gagin Simde Yomarda. Lungu Kura was Peggy Chazan on the Pebeg Lama Mangola, Jizun Jambe and that Dramada, then among which shares of Luju to Akosna Dozo, Satang would top at that in Yorba. Satang would top house Nana, and Dozo gave in Chigiorda. Lungu Gay, gave in Chigiorba Chazan.
So now we come to the form bodies of a Buddha, the first of which is a longku, or enjoyment, or utility body, Sambhavakaya. So this is like Isla Sumjusuni Tang Jajja Shirbe. Oh yeah. 32 major and 80 minor marks of a Buddha. Suffice to say that once you reach the first bhumi, as we mentioned, the practitioner directly realizing emptiness can take teachings from the Buddhas that have these aspects. Sentient beings cannot see them, but these first Bhumi Bodhisattvas can see the spiritual friend in the aspect of a deity and take teachings from them. Many Tibetan masters directly saw, for example, Manjushri or Tara, and took teachings from them. This is a sign that they are first Bhumi Bodhisattvas. So spiritual friends appear as the deity. Yeah, a lot of historical cases of Tibetan lamas having directly seen the deities. Yes.
다데네 구시와데 두굴라이라 두굴라이들라 나세기 야와라고 때세요 롱구 겨두구 소두구스와 롱구디니 롱구 말다 초구두구 두구든
supreme, right?
초구두구스라데 먼저 제와중이 되는 개롱가 남바시제 아니
제와중이 샤키무니
동바 좀 된다나 시레
야
제와중이 된 제 개롱가 남바시제 아니 산제베 제와된제 아니 최송이들이야 초구두구스고데 점물링디 날라다 단다 다자도마 샤제도 메시지 다자도마 샤제도 웨컵 뒷컬러 다자도마 샤제도 나신지 템바데링가 페기요 말다 그러나 디 다자도마 샤제도 웨 템바레데로 이 템바데 페드만 냠스는 아니 제메 지진 잠복은 뭐 페용 거다.
Now we come to our second of the two types of bodies of a Buddha, tulku or Namakaya form, and the first of which is a supreme Namakaya Buddha. So that Buddha, teaches by way of the 12 deeds, for example, and appears as a bhikshu, and then turns the wheel of Dharma. So, for example, for us, Shakyamuni Buddha is an example of that, appearing as a monk. And during his reign, during the reign of his dissemination of the doctrine, it is just him. No other wheel-turning Buddha will appear like that. But when the reign of Shakyamuni Buddha comes to an end, then the future Buddha Maitreya will be the next one.
세상 안에서 단다 믹스만 되는 간절하게 공 지전 참고공 공 제시도
Yeah.
어디베 야고요리 마음바 다 단데 다자도 마셔도 왜 템바들라 산제 제다마제 다 하고래서도 산제 다제지 마음바 지전 참고공 템발라 제야라 저와잡네네 디두 단단에도 되어서 면람 잡나 아니 지메 지전 참고공 페드 안티디 양지 믹스에 코르고 통마 차야단 뒤제 믹스진 차야든데라 겨와요가 인자 된다데 간델하제 곰디 지진 참보고 뭐 곰디 두간에 마디 고미야디 언저를 빼미시게 탑랑야고 쉬우지레스로.
That is why it is good for us to recite the Migsema mantra in context with Lama Samkapa Guru Yoga to foster a connection with the future Buddha Maitreya, who is in Tushita. Because we are in the current reign of Shakyamuni Buddha's doctrine, but whether or not we get enlightened within that period is not sure. So in that sense, there is a hope that if we connect with the coming Buddha Maitreya, make that connection, due to the connections of doing these yoga practices, we can be born in the retinue of Maitreya Buddha as students.
다든저 고등으로 야골레위나 저런저 점블링기 나게 다 단도 점블링에 배 냥가서버 차도도 신나지 지금 말이로 점블링디 콘저 에르밤 잡제 점블링 매우서네 간도 도서지 열다 간다.
Yes, in that context there's no reason to be about scared. Some people are scared that the world is so dangerous now, but if there is an atom bomb there's somewhere else we can go.
먼저 네 케미컬 디 농바데 데모고지다 제메 케미컬 촌에 매서든데 리그리로.
We don't want to stay around a place that's infused with chemicals. We should go to a place that doesn't have chemicals.
그러나서 케미컬 가우친 줘도서 네 대나라 고고시 되게 다닝자로.
Those that are used to using chemicals can stay around and use them and go round and round.
다닝제로로.
So the poor things.
제가现在我的米다른 거 내주시면은 단대 뒤즈는데 강에 춘주도서 언제든지 강에 춘주도서 전부 되거라.
That's very important, isn't it? Because if you think far and you think big, then you know the little things that upset you, that's nothing. But the little things, we blow them up.
다들 내 겨두고 라죠라. 겨두고 세데 미 기숙 렌제라. 겨나시 기숙 렌제. 베나단당서 겨울음 신소리로. 겨울은지도 미 기숙도 튼라 제르식 차대요라. 어디 된거 가서는 수수 겨우 담에외 저게다. 뉴제 단다치야시 배운 거라. 어디를 겨두고 있어요. 담에외다나 담에외라 하래고. 동업인이 산제래 돼요.
Then there's this another type of emanation or body of a Buddha called the Kyewe Tuku, Namakaya aspect. Zve.
겨두고.
Namakaya Zve.
하시다 하모다.
I don't know how to say that in English. Kyewe Tuku. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Namakaya aspect. Anyway, so for example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Buddha will appear in ordinary human form and look ordinary to teach us, but in reality they are Buddha.
다들 내 소주고 써야 돼. 네 두바랑 땡지러 봐. 두바랑 땡지 용거였다.
Right. But then there's another type of tuku or
소주고.
Yeah, emanation body. Emanation, yeah. Tuba.
대원 상상라 상상 칼라도 저거를 가시 삼바도 강바도 미도 다 두바 담을 땡거라.
Yeah.
어딘데래.
Okay.
텔라 소주고 소.
So these types of tukus or appearances of beings are emanations. They can appear as a house or a bridge or a person.
베나딘데 용구도 하던다. 다자도 마셔도 봐데 와라나실라야 딘시주 말에 자고 공부를래야 아니 셔런용 송배 갑들라 아니 투주 찍고 찍잖라 표저 반된 대봉라 두고자 주송고도 알아.
Yeah,
두주 두고 두베 송고 여름이신 거용 거래라.
Right, so to give an example, when Shakyamuni Buddha taught the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, the Heart Sutra in Rajgir in India, simultaneous with that, he was teaching in South India in Drepung the Kalachakra Tantra. So that ability to teach that was that emanation body. Yeah, remember, it's occurring exactly the same time. Yeah, without being able to emanate a body, that would not be possible.
지난데 주바디 사주바네라 주바 시브때 사탕문에야 저 주바대야 시어다 수수 루갸루 주드베 텐데
사탕부라야
사녀원에 루 동로 주드베 텐데 누가 야야야야 레드데 네 사주바라다 베다 베진 도바데 산제 다우로죠 사주바 어딘데 연대 세 연대 셰 연대 할레요다
Yeah. Now this ability to emanate bodies begins on the first Bhumi ground. So the first Bhumi Bodhisattva can emanate 100 bodies. The second ground, the second Bhumi, can emanate 1,000 bodies, have the potency to do that. So far, and including up to the 10th ground. Now at the 10th level, it's almost like a Buddha, how many bodies they can emanate. So.
당도 디 심지 두버기 타마데 직템제 소리지.
다들
이네마지 랍샤나. 다 제가 탑다 셔럽니디. 아니 디나시레스 가서 그래. 군조딘 다디고나. 대달로르 시지 나와 세제네. 대달로르 세지 나와 세제네. 아니 란지 라나네 규르라신데 근데 제가 다 대고나야. 로드 세지 나와세. 로드 돈유더베 로디 톱지 아니 직 딘지가 드바당 딘지가 바자당 더저 방파 세네 아니 타도데라야 산지지 고마 타도데 최탐제 락드데 큐르라나시 식드베야던데 연구세 랑게 라라네베 큐르라니 시숨데다 말레 되네 게메바 또디 타녀 덴베도 비고바 로스다 아니 따데 어디 송도하데 식타마타마들 하래
angpa de marwadi shokbani nang de marwadi no
디고는 찍지도하데 대달로드스지 나와서 낭바도 제일 리그라
I was talking about the swans.
낭바도 고요
I was wanting the verse about the swans and ducks, but we're not there yet. So somewhere at the end, isn't it, Gisela? Towards the end of the text. Gisela will teach this for auspiciousness. I'm just trying to find it. Bear with me. At the very end, yeah. No. We're not at that one yet.
대달로드스지 나와서지네 란지라는 줄으나시 시즘데다 말로 되네 제메바 또디 타녀 덴베도 짱에 통달라셔 고바도스 제가 아니
I got it. Yeah, it's the third one up.
어디
Yeah, okay, Gisela. Yeah, the third verse up.
다디 직도 고가보다는 아니 쇼양데 군조빈이 쇼양가고 제주지 강배 저어디니 청하고 있는 여외데 자주 파르셔도 됐어 제가 아니 군조된 바도벨로데 탑다 아니 ten나도벨로 탑중 셔럽 탑시니 야마데벨로 되네 아니 시 다두슬람나 두스코나 야보도 시네갑스 아니 템바니 군조된 바도 ten나데 바 람비네갑스 아니 탑다 셔럽니 냠렌체 냠렌디니 야 마테와 셔월라 되네 아니 산제지 고마 추수지 구도서 산제지 구 토바데 총레스 디 페나 아니 안zo 망바다워질 쇼보니유나 안데 자주 파르데 피토로 왔 테나시 탑시니 냠렌체월라 되네 아니 산제지 고마 토발라 두요레서 어디 튼다 도도데리로
Yeah, so we will do that last verse. The king of swans, spreading his broad white wings of the conventional and suchness, having advanced to the fore of the swans of ordinary beings, proceeds to the supreme shore of the ocean of the qualities of the conqueror. Here is really talking about the relative and ultimate truths. We can talk about basis, path, and result. So in terms of the basis, we take the two truths of relative and ultimate truth. In terms of the path, it's method and wisdom. In terms of the result, the two corpuses or bodies of a Buddha, the form and mental bodies of a Buddha. So those two really, the two truths and method and wisdom, they're practiced in union, together in unison, as is alluded to by the verse, the king of swans spreading his broad white wings of conventional and suchness. It's 1 to the very last verse. Yeah, it's a good verse. It's a very beautiful verse and it's good to memorize. Yeah, because the analogy is easy to bring the meaning to mind.
셔럽 메나 야 표절로 펜토에 뭐 너버 제기도 안 저러.
Yeah.
말한줄 상로다 펜토고 유튜브에 수수 셔럽 마단디 미 바로 벌라 너버 제기도 와. 저런 데인데 탑나 셔럽 니디 지 메정어거나 고고요 바디 세부시비래더라.
Yeah, it's beautiful because it's one thing to have feelings of love and compassion, but you also need to have the wisdom. Because when we don't have wisdom, even though we set out to help others, sometimes we harm them. So, and even in the context of our life, we need method and wisdom together, which the verse highlights.
다 야네 양도 아니 제가 다데 곰 잡데 내고 아니 데르바 가서 냠샤서 저러다 동만이 최다음에 간사다메라 삼샤 안 냠샤래야 당연히 아니 제도 주마데 시지다 최담제電動 주마데베 와 담다디 가래 그도 산제 시 근데 송도 그도 산제 시 책도 네바 침모 쉬우지 책 뉴뉴 두고 간샤남도 짐바 요르나 단단 춘이신나 되면셔서 간샤남도 짐바 요르나서 당 알아서 셈나 칸 샤바디게 참마 알아서 주미지 남도 중된저래 땡어야 짐바 이나 아니 대 주미지 남도 안게 다 템버투와 랑원네 투와 직견자 나한테게 요레스 나와디 능외 생운디 대동에 동화디 가래 전단된 말이스 간샤남도 좀뭐 요런 전단 춘이 심을 때문에 쳤다 전단 춘이 동관이디 인지민지 타는 뭐 새가 조금 말아 다 다가나 요르스 남산 샤용 그랬어 다디 제도 규모대 외국다 주더래요 초담제電動 규모대 외국다 주더 다두저 상로 레고 요라 한다로
Dentong Gyumatabu. So then, in terms of meditative equipoise on non-self of persons and non-self of phenomena, meditation on emptiness, there is meditative equipoise, but there's post-meditative equipoise. And what's important in post-meditative equipoise is that one recognizes the empty, illusory-like quality of phenomena, as was quite beautifully stated by this Lama, Kurungi Tsenla.
Kedrup Sangye Yeshi.
Right, Kedrup Sangye Yeshi, a Tibetan practitioner who got Buddhahood in one life, said that whatever the mind perceives, we often have thoughts around our perceptions, mental constructs, but understanding that those mental constructs lack true existence, understanding their empty nature is ultimate truth, and such an understanding is not far away, it is close at hand. So that when you come out of meditative equipoise and post-meditative equipoise, you view all things with this understanding of their empty, illusory-like quality.
다들 영어도 공자야 될래. 대전이 요래와. 대전 가서나 아니 따도네 공부쳐 봤어. 따토네 공부쳐 봤어. 당부 따와 땡을 법과 법정체. 아니 최담제 규단 되거는 항상 다 아니 풍부다지 뭔가 되네다고 인다면 따제체 제바체 아니 제바체에 타들라 아니 다 간사한 템버투가 레민도 삼배 미시니인데 아니 텐데게 템버투가 동에 동바 되게 간라 동바 뭐심바 딜라야 아니 심 네제 데비나
place,
아니 따토네 공부쳐봐 하세요 당부 따와된라 파
Okay.
따와된라 파와 되간라 아니 심 냥바샤지 데 공자되들라 따도네 공부쳐봐서 공자나 좀 버직 드레스
Tangpo
따와세
Yep.
동번이
So then, in terms of the way one goes about meditating emptiness, first there is settling on the view. To settle on the view means that you meditate, don't you? Or you study initially persons and phenomena, and you come to examine that they are a product of causes and conditions. For example, the person lacks intrinsic nature and is just merely labeled in dependence upon the aggregates. You come to conclude the person lacks true existence. So then you settle on that view and you place the mind in that view, single-pointedly.
단 이와디 곰도네 따오쳐서 당보 곰접 당보 먼저 당 먼저 우중우제 우중을 장가를 접 아니 셈내제도 안디가나 아니 셈세리기 차디시나 셈모트로 안디라 셈 내제도 곰제거다 곰 아니 셈세리기 창고에서인데 아니 셈라신이 되게 동배들 냥바샤인데 아니 곰도네 따오쳐 하세요.
Okay, then there's a second approach, which is called meditating on the view, or coming to emptiness by meditating on it. So here you do breathing exercise again and again and again until the discursive thoughts cease and the true nature of the mind manifests, that which is lucid and awake or clear and knowing. You place the mind on that emptiness of that nature, and that's called meditating on the view.
와야 당저 드링 이마시디나는 개버상물에 다 엄마 주고 찾아 찍던 이거는 로드웨어 말을 뒤져거나 당거 말아 다 내가 차디지 내가 차디지 등에 뭐 된다 다 공자 내전도지 먼저 드링 치기 좋아한데 빼미시
Last 4 days, we have been through this text, entering the middle way. We have not had the time to go through each verse individually, but the essential important verses have been studied, meditated, and discussed upon. Great opportunity. The same text in the monastery took 4 years. We tried to do it in 4 days. We must be sharp, right? We must be sharp. We are sharp, right?
Oh yeah. That the candle again, ma right.
So now dissolving the merit fields. Yeah.
Page 57 of Guru Puja text. O glorious and precious root Guru,
come take your lotus and moon seat placed here upon my head, and keep me safe in your great kindness. Bestow on me, please, the powerful attainments of your body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root Guru, come take your lotus and moon seat in my heart, and please keep me safe in your great kindness.
Remain steadfast until I achieve Buddhahood.
By this merit may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha,
and may I lead unto that state every being without exception.
네네 저런서 단다 타제가나 니니 하시시도 아무도 만차 뭐 싱그레 니 저런서 제일 좋아된데 유나 제일이야 돼 간절에 이면은 땅쇼스로.
Yeah. Those listening online, we know most of you. So if you have a question later on, email it through and we'll answer.
Oh yeah, that minimum.
Now, the rest of the prayers?
Mandala?
Yeah, mandala.
Long or short?
Short.
Short mandala?
The separate page 33, prayers of dedication. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state into that enlightenment. By paying homage, offering and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha's day teach, I now dedicate all this to full awakening. I dedicate all these to virtue with the dedication praised as the best. By the victorious ones thus gone to the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharmas on Karpa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Saviour of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is the unification of emptiness and compassion, to the lotus hold of Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the sedure's moral way, who serves the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining and preserving and spreading Manjana's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honouring the 3 jewels, Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. By relying on the dual accumulations of myself and others in the 3 times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losong Drakpa blaze for a long time.
Panel Lamrim prayer.
And the final Lamrim prayer beginning on page 39.
Tindi
From my
rende bile
tribulations,
chakiji
past
kadayam
and
bayi
space,
sawa de
that I have
bina.
amassed, from working
Namde
with
jeva
effort at
umbo
this
da yoje
practice
de
for a
mazu
great
zero
length of
kudu
time,
yang chame
may
yoje.
it become a chief
Tembe
leading
remo
oil
kana
for
da
all
yoje
those whose
nini
minds
do
wisdom
waji
eyes
di.
is blinded by ignorance.
Rangi jiji ndo kana
Even if I
jine
do
shuda
not
zewe
reach
jima
this
jine do
state, may
yoje
I
de
be
jeba
held in
temba
your
yoje na
loving
yoje.
compassion for all our
Temba rin jiji
lives.
yoma jine choje nyamba
May
jine
our
yiji
mind
shimbe
possess
de
the
jowa jine
complete
pende
breadth
de
and
sawa.
powers of the teacher.
Seje jewe
And
me
may
jong
I
tene
please
le
all
le
the
do che
Buddhas
jo
by
nam
my
jire me jian
practice.
tan tene jile.
Using skillful
Jewe
means
zen
to
ba
draw
ye
by the
rin
strong
de
force
jo
of
jo je lam
compassion,
san do
may
we
I
chu ju
clear
do
the
ye ge
darkness
jo
from
rin
the
de.
minds of all beings.
Nam
With a
da lang da
graceful
de wo ma
heart
ye
as I
je
have
kan ze te
descended,
kwa cho la ju
may I
ju ju chu
uphold the
shen do
Buddha's
la chu
teachings
ba
for
ti
a
ne.
very long
Chu
time.
de nam je ta je
With
do
my
je
heart
je ta
going
shi
out
ja
with
zu cho
great
gun che
compassion,
ju je.
in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even this graded path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all humans and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may the oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Mi mi ze we te je je re si te me jen be on go jan be yang gan ji ge be so yin zong ga wa lo san da be sha la so mi mi ze we de je je re si te me jen be on go jan be yang an ji ge so yin zong ga lo san ta be sha la so de mi mi ze we de je re ze de me jen be on go jan be an ji ge be zo ye zong ga lo za da be sha